Well is the only NGO in South Africa that focuses exclusively on children in road safety. We do this through our 3 avenues of activism, which is education, legislation, and raising awareness on the vulnerability of children in and around vehicles. We have been busy for 9 years now, and our flagship campaign, Car Seats for Kids, we are fastly approaching 10,000 car seats handed out to children whose parents would otherwise not have been able to afford this new. Our major milestones that we are very proud of is our Prince Michael International Road Safety Award that we received in 2016 for our Car Seats for Kids campaign, and the fact that we have managed to reduce the death toll of children on the road. Now, this last year and a half, COVID regulations restricted travelling to a large degree, and children were not as affected, so the numbers came down, and we are so happy with that. But what is of huge concern for us is that the children road deaths as a percentage of the total deaths is up. A third of all road deaths are now children, and that to us is a major concern because children don't drive vehicles. Our Car Seats for Kids campaign is where it all started, way back in 2012. It started as a favour for a friend in Cape Town who did a small campaign there and had a major reaction from Gauteng, and she needed somebody to run with it. And we've been running ever since. The concept of the Car Seats for Kids campaign is that we ask parents to donate their used seats to us. We then strip these seats completely. Every aspect of the seat gets checked and cleaned, and then we put it all together. In this process, all the defects of the seat will come to the fore. If there's a defect, we put the seat aside to be recycled. If the seat is good, it comes to the front for children whose parents cannot afford these car seats new. This hands-on experience with car seats gives us a very unique insight, worldwide actually, not just in South Africa, because there's nobody else that does this. So we have a view of car seats that nobody else has. We know which seats last longer, we know which seats work best, we know which seats install better, and we know which seats just work better for children as well. And we apply this knowledge to help parents make the right decisions in purchasing those car seats for themselves. And we also help parents to install the car seats correctly, because that is another major concern. A car seat that is not installed correctly will not function as expected during a crash. So we help parents in every aspect that we can to get every kid in every car in a car seat, that car seat is appropriate, and that car seat is correctly fitted and installed. We know from experience that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution for children in car seats and for their parents. We know that there are too many variables to make just quick, glib advice for parents. We know it takes more than that, and that is what we do for parents. We look at each individual, we look at their budget, we look at their lifestyle, we look at the car that they drive, we look at their child, and we combine all of that and then give our best advice in the interest of the child. That is what we focus on. The same with the Car Seats for Kids campaign. The focus is purely the children. We don't care what vehicle parents drive. We don't care where they live. For us, the concern is the kids in the car seat. We also know that things get very complicated here in South Africa. We need to look after our extended family like very few other countries do, which makes disposable income not always readily available to purchase car seats when they need to be purchased. That's why anybody who comes to us who needs a car seat will get a car seat. We will help parents select the right seat for them, which is appropriate for their child's age, weight and height, and which will fit into their car, and obviously budget is taken care of, because what we do is we ask for a donation that the family can afford. And that has been our criteria, and that will always be our criteria. We sometimes do get in fabulous car seats, and then we put a small price on them to help us with our fundraising efforts. So Car Seats for Kids campaign has grown from a couple of seats in a garage to a fully fledged business now. And as I said, we are fast approaching 10,000 car seats handed out to kids. This is an enormous achievement. And as I also mentioned, this is not done anywhere else in the world. This is a uniquely South African campaign. Our concern is, like with various studies that has been done over the past few years, less than 10% of our children are in car seats. So there's an enormous amount of work that needs to be done on raising awareness on the importance of car seats, educating parents on what aspects of the car seat they need to look at when they purchase it, how to use it correctly, when to adjust up, when to move up to the next size car seat, when do you stop using car seats. All of this information is so important and we need to get it out there. And this is where we need you to stand with us so that we can help these parents. And this is why we ask you to donate to our campaign, and so that we can literally save those children's lives. Our campaign for our little children as pedestrians is called Glow Kids Glow, and it is based on the concept that visibility gear will give those kids a better chance of survival as they have to negotiate traffic on their way to school in the afternoons and even in the evenings before their parents are home. Reflective gear increase the distance of visibility for the driver so that the driver can do the necessary to avoid driving into the children. Nobody sets out in the morning thinking, let me drive over some kids today. These are truly crashes that happen because drivers don't see the kids. So if you make the kids visible, then you give them a better chance. Because you see, children under the age of 10 is not mature enough yet to take responsibility for their own safety. They shouldn't have to. It is us, the adults, we in the village, that need to take care of our kids. And the most dangerous times for kids is really in the early mornings when it's dark and during dawn, and then in the late afternoons when the sun goes down, and in the evenings, but especially also over weekends. So we racked our brains as to the clothing item that children will wear, irrespective of the time of day or whether it is during the weekend or whether it's the weekend. And the solution that we came up with is beanies. Beanies is part of a culture. Children wear beanies. It gives them warmth. It gives them visibility. It is in bright colors, so they're visible during the day, and it has reflective yarn on it so that the children are visible during night times as well. And the concept is that the light of the vehicle is reflected back from the child to the driver. So instead of a child in dark school clothes be visible, say from 20 to 30 meters, which gives the driver 2 to 3 seconds to react and respond to seeing a child, it now increases it to 150 to 190 meters, which gives that driver ample time. But we want to involve the community because, as I said, it takes a village to raise a child. So our Halo Beanie campaign is putting packs together with enough wool, the knitting needles, the crochet pins, the patterns, the reflective yarn, everything that you need to knit 100 beanies is in a usable tote bag, and that is sponsored. That tote bag has enough in it for 100 beanies to be knitted, and that is delivered to knitting groups in communities, and then they knit the beanies for the children in the community. That way you give the children the visibility, you give people in the community an opportunity to do something for their kids, and you double up on the raising of awareness of how effective visibility gear is. It can reduce the death toll by 85%. Our children don't yet have the skills to calculate how fast a car is coming, whether they have a gap to run across the road. They are also impulsive. If they see somebody that they love across the road, they will run over to them. If a ball falls into the road or a little puppy runs into the road, a child will run after it without thinking twice about whether cars are coming or not. You can teach children road safety, young children especially, and you have to, absolutely have to teach them road safety. But in the moment, when it happens, they don't have the skill to apply that knowledge. So you need to give children that passive road safety device, and for us it is the Halo Beanie. So this is the Halo Beanie. Here is the reflective yarn knitted into the beanie. It is in bright, colourful colours, as you can see. So the kids have the brightness of the beanies during the day and the magic of the reflective yarn during the more early or morning hours of dawn, during dusk and the late afternoons, especially in winter, when the sun doesn't come up yet and the kids have to actually leave home as early as 6 o'clock to get to school, and children as young as 5 walk unaccompanied to school. So the child have to do nothing else but wearing the beanie. They can still be a child. This is not restrictive when they are playing. They will not have the need to take it off. They can wear it over the weekends, and it's actually, beanies can be worn all the time. So that is our solution for our children as pedestrians. For our children in public transport, and especially school transport, we have a few problems that is not as easily surmountable as those for our children in public and private vehicles and our children as pedestrians. You see, the loading of persons in vehicles need to be addressed before we can really work at the safety for our children in public transport. Currently, the law states, for the purposes of loading a vehicle, that children under the age of 3 don't count. That means that you can put infants in a vehicle until you don't see even a crack of light through it, but they don't count. Children between the age of 3 and 6, 2 children will count as a person. So in a 12-seater vehicle, you can put 24 children. For us, that is unacceptable because our children are only seen as mass for whether the vehicle is overloaded or not, and not as people. For us, a person is a person, no matter how small, and every child counts. A child should be able to sit on a seat with a seat belt, dedicated to that seat to keep them safe. The problem that remains is that the seatbelt don't fit kids. And there we promote the Secure Kid harness. Now this is a device that has been tested to ECE standards for safety. And what happens is that these poppers come open and you thread the seat belt through it. The shoulder belt gets positioned through this bit, and the lap belt is positioned through the bottom bit. Now this keeps the seat belt correctly positioned on a child of a smaller stature than that of an adult, because seat belts are designed for an adult of 1.5 meters and taller. This is also a very handy device that children can carry with them. It's completely portable. It can go into a school bag. So it doesn't stay in the vehicle, it stays with the child. It gives a lovely space for branding and for a road safety message for the children. And it can be used to either side, depending on where the children sit. We have to teach our kids to use seat belts. And we have to do this at school. It is very, very important. But we have to follow it through to make it possible that children can use a seatbelt each in public transport. So what we are motivating for is that in school transport especially, because children don't have a choice, they have to go to school. That for school transport, a child counts as a person, no matter how big they are, and that they can sit on a seat with a seatbelt and use one of these Secure Kid harnesses to position the seatbelt on them correctly. The added benefit of the Secure Kid harness is that it spreads the force in case of a crash to prevent the seatbelt bruising that you get from the seatbelt in a crash, thereby keeping our kids safe. This campaign, Kids on the Go, needs serious funding because we need to change legislation, and we can only do this with your help. We need you to stand by us as the village for our children so that we can make school transport so much safer for our children. It takes a village to raise a child, and that is even more true when it comes to road safety for children. Children don't drive the vehicles. They are truly the victims of road crashes in this country. It is us as adults who drive the vehicles, and it is us as adults who have to take the sacred responsibility of taking care of our children in traffic. I'm asking you, as adults in this village, that we need to raise our kids, to stand by us, to honor the sacred trust that our kids have in us to keep them safe. Part of the funds that we raise through this campaign will be used to purchase a property for Well to operate from. After 9 years, Well will finally have a place that they can call their own, that we can run the Car Seats for Kids campaign from, that we can use that as a base to transform the environment that is for road safety for children. We will use that space as an educational center. So when parents come there, the information is ready for them there to see, that we can use our walls as a teaching aid to show parents how vulnerable children are, to show parents the different stages and help guide them on their journey through car seats, but also to broaden that education to the plight of our children as pedestrians and the plight of our children in school transport, so that we use that space that we operate from as a canvas of what we do, what we need to do, and also as an educational tool to assist all parents, grandparents, single parents, au pairs, anybody who drives with children, anybody who drives on roads where there are children, so that we can raise the awareness on how vulnerable our kids are, educate parents, and finally get to changing legislation that will make roads safer for our kids.